You know that feeling when you have, like, a massive final exam the next morning,
Oh, absolutely.
and you're just sitting at your desk surrounded by this absolute mountain of textbooks?
Yeah, just desperately trying to cram an entire semester's worth of info into your brain in a single night.
Exactly. It's that feeling of mild panic, but mixed with this extreme adrenaline-fueled focus.
Totally.
Well, tomorrow morning, the ultimate final exam begins at the 108th PGA Championship. So consider this deep dive your ultimate cram session.
Only, instead of biology or calculus, our subject today is pure high-stakes athletic drama.
Right. It's a landscape filled with billionaires, betrayals, incredibly specific grass lengths, and exactly 180 sand traps.
We have an incredible stack of sources to pull from today to get you ready for this.
We really do.
We're synthesizing PGA Tour media briefings, advanced statistical databases, tour insider reporting, and some really high-level modern biomechanical analyses.
So our mission here is simple. We are going to cut through all the pre-tournament noise.
Right, all the chatter.
Exactly. And give you a shortcut to being the single most well-informed fan heading into round one at Aronimink Golf Club.
Which is vital, honestly, because this specific championship, it sits at this historic inflection point.
Yeah, it's bigger than just golf.
It really is. We aren't just analyzing the legacies of individual players this week. We're watching a fundamental shift in the entire geopolitical and financial landscape of professional golf.
I mean, the ground is quite literally fracturing beneath their feet.
Yeah.
So how do the players even focus on a major championship when the boardroom is completely imploding?
It's got to be incredibly distracting.
Because the financial bombshell that dropped yesterday is jarring. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the PIF, they've officially announced they are cutting funding for Livy Golf after the 2026 season.
Yeah, the details from our sources highlight just how abrupt and severe this shift is.
Right. After sinking roughly $5 billion into this breakaway league to rival the PGA Tour, they're just pulling the plug on future investments.
And Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PIF governor who essentially co-founded the dissident league, he stepped down from the Levy board.
Wow.
Levy is now actively searching for new long-term financial partners, but they're trying to do so amidst reports that they are operating at a $500 million annual loss.
That burn rate is insane.
The financial mechanics there are just brutal. Without massive broadcast revenue or legacy sponsorships to offset that, the PAF essentially looked at the ledger and decided the geopolitical return on investment just wasn't there anymore.
And the reactions we are seeing in the source material, they're completely polarized, which makes the locker room dynamic really fascinating.
Oh, for sure.
Because on one hand, you have anonymous PGA players quoted by golf journalists basically saying, yeah, screw those guys, we don't care who they are.
Right, regarding the idea of Levy players trying to return to the PGA Tour.
Exactly. There is a deep, lingering resentment about the massive, guaranteed payouts those defectors took while the loyalists stayed behind.
But then you have a completely different perspective coming from outside the immediate PGA structure.
Right. We have reports of former U.S. President Donald Trump weighing in from the Oval Office.
And we're just reporting what's in the sources here, just to be clear.
Yes. Strictly impartial here. He stated that he viewed the golf world as a monopoly and that it should be the exact opposite.
Right.
He predicted that Livy golfers will absolutely be welcomed back to the PGA Tour, stating, quote, because they're great. And he noted that fans simply want to see the best players competing together.
So you have these vastly different viewpoints on leverage and really what the future of the sport should look like.
Totally.
What's fascinating here is how the players themselves are processing this distraction on the eve of a major. Like, take Rory McIlroy.
Oh, man. His press conference yesterday was incredibly disorienting.
Yeah, he sat there for 90 minutes and was, like, surprisingly jovial.
Yeah. He revealed that rumors of Livy being defunded were swirling on the PGA Tour way back in March. He essentially knew this was coming.
But for Rory, the real crisis yesterday wasn't geopolitical.
No, it was entirely physical.
He had to cut his practice round short after just 3 holes.
And the reason is honestly a little visceral.
Yeah, he is dealing with a severe blister under the nail of his right pinky toe.
Ouch.
It was bothering him so much that he actually pulled the toenail off himself before testing out new footwear.
Wait, really? He just ripped it off?
Yeah, literally pulled it off right there on the range.
Okay, let's unpack this because, I mean, how does a tiny toe blister actually matter for the #2 player in the world? Isn't that just a minor annoyance you tape up, take some painkillers for and just play through.
I mean, if you or I were playing a casual round, sure. But McIlroy's swing is this highly tuned, violent mechanism.
Right.
He relies on massive torque. He creates this pretzel-like twist in his lower back to generate that legendary distance.
Yeah, it's wild to watch.
But to safely and effectively execute that kinetic chain, the right foot, the trail foot, it has to act as a crucial, immovable anchor into the turf.
So it's the foundation of the torque. Like trying to throw a heavy medicine ball as far as you can, but you're standing on ice.
That's a perfect analogy. If he cannot nail that trail foot down into the turf because of searing pain in his toe, he loses his lateral force transfer. He won't be able to push off the ground effectively. That single point of pain completely compromises the timing, the sequencing, and the power of the world's most powerful swing.
Because the kinetic energy just bleeds out before it ever reaches the club head.
Exactly.
So if Rory's foundation is literally slipping, does that just clear the runway for Scottie Scheffler? Because looking at his stats, the world number one has been virtually unstoppable.
Well, Scheffler's on a run that is both historic and incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, 3 consecutive solo runner-up finishes right now.
Right, at the Masters, the RBC Heritage, and the Cadillac Championship. He actually skipped last week's Truist Championship entirely just to rest and study for this week.
But doesn't that take a psychological toll? I mean, finishing second 3 times in a row has to mess with your head on some level.
Not for Scheffler. What's crucial to understand about him, based on the insider reporting we have, is his purely internal motivation.
Right.
He isn't looking at 3 runner-up finishes as failures. He is treating them as data.
How so?
He's using that proximity to the win to isolate microscopic flaws. If he finishes 1 stroke back, his team goes into the analytics to see exactly where that stroke was lost.
Like, was it his attack angle on long irons?
Exactly. Or was it a misread on left-to-right putts inside 10 feet? He doesn't need a rival to push him. His drive to figure out the puzzle of his own game is entirely self-contained.
He uses the near misses to calibrate.
Precisely.
But he does have rivals pushing him, whether he needs them or not. We have to talk about the new world number 3, Cameron Young.
Oh, Young has been on an absolute tear.
He won the Players' Championship, and then he completely dominated Scheffler by 6 strokes at the Cadillac Championship.
And his rise is particularly critical this week because of the notable absences in the field.
The missing names are huge.
Yeah, the psychological weight of the locker room shifts dramatically when certain intimidating legends aren't present.
Tiger Woods is on an indefinite break following that car crash and DUI back in March. Phil Mickelson had to withdraw due to a family health matter.
Right.
And even breakout standout there. Jake Knapp had to withdraw at the last minute with a thumb sprain, replaced by Tom Hoge.
Yeah, it really changes the vibe.
So, to you listening, think about what this means for the sport. When those towering figures aren't casting a shadow over the practice range, the suffocating pressure of history lifts just a little bit.
Totally.
This is the exact moment for a new era of players, guys like Cameron Young, or the young Swedish phenom Ludvig Åberg, or even Victor Hovland, to step through that open door and permanently cement their legacy.
But stepping through that door means finding a mechanical edge where almost none exists.
Right, because the margins are so incredibly thin at the top right now.
Exactly. We are seeing elite players make drastic, borderline, desperate changes to their swings and their equipment right on the practice range.
Just look at Brooks Koepka. He is basically an equipment free agent right now, and he is desperately trying to fix his putting.
The stats are brutal.
Yeah, he is currently ranked 149th in strokes gained putting.
And for those who might not dig into the advanced analytics daily, strokes gained doesn't just count total putts.
Right, it's relative.
It measures a player's performance against the rest of the field from specific distances. So if the tour average to hole out from 8 feet is 1.5 strokes, and you make it in 1, you gain half a stroke on the field.
Gotcha.
Koepka, ranking 149th, means he is systematically bleeding strokes every time he pulls the putter out.
Which explains why he was spotted yesterday testing 2 completely different mallets.
Yeah, a TaylorMade Spider Tour V and a Scottie Cameron Phantom 9.5R prototype.
Plus, he just completely overhauled his bag with brand new Titleist Vokey SM11 wedges. He is searching for any kind of spark.
Now compare that panic to someone like Jon Rahm.
Oh, Rahm is interesting.
He's tumbled down to number 20 in the official world golf rankings, largely due to the lack of ranking points on the Levy Tour, but his underlying biomechanics are arguably the most perfectly suited for this specific course.
I keep hearing this, but why is Rahm's swing so insulated from course conditions?
Because of his backswing. Most players utilize a sequential coil.
Okay.
Think of it like a whip cracking the hips turn, then the torso, then the shoulders, then the arms whip through.
Right.
It generates speed, but it requires perfect timing.
Huh.
If one piece is off by a millisecond, the club face is open or closed at impact. Rahm doesn't do that.
What does he do?
He utilizes a highly compact, synchronized coil. His arms and body arrive at the top of his backswing at the exact same time.
Like a bank vault door swinging shut, everything moves together as one solid piece.
Exactly. It's a shorter motion, but it leaves virtually zero room for timing errors.
Wow.
It creates extreme, repeatable precision, particularly with his mid to long irons. And as we'll discuss in a moment, Aronimink is going to demand elite long iron play.
Speaking of irons, Rose is a great pivot point because Justin Rose is debuting brand new McLaren irons this week.
Yeah, his recent approach numbers have been awful.
And he openly admits it takes a long time to get comfortable looking down at a new club. So let's unpack this. Is Justin Rose absolutely crazy for debuting brand new, untested irons at a major championship?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it actually makes perfect, ruthless sense.
Really?
Yeah, Justin Rose is a veteran. He knows exactly what specific ball flight windows he needs to hit to survive a Donald Ross-designed course like Aronimink.
Right.
He needs a steeper descent angle to hold the greens. If he looked at his TrackMan data and realized his old irons physically could not launch the ball into those required windows, sticking with them was a guaranteed loss.
Well, I see.
Making a drastic equipment change isn't panic, it is a highly calculated survival tactic.
I keep hearing people call Aronimink a beast, but what makes this specific piece of property so punishing that it's forcing guys to abandon clubs they've used all year?
It's essentially a massive topographical trap. Originally designed by Donald Ross in 1928, it was recently meticulously restored by Gil Hanse.
Right, they chopped down hundreds of trees to re-expose the rolling, deceptive topography.
Yeah, and it plays as a par 70, stretching to an exhausting 7,394 yards.
And the landing zones are virtually non-existent. I mean, the fairways pinch down to just 30 yards wide in certain spots.
It's brutal.
If you miss, you are hacking out of 3.25-inch thick fescue rough, or you are buried in one of the staggering 180 bunkers they restored to their original jagged footprints.
But the true defense of the course isn't the bunkering or the rough. It's the agronomy and the weather. We call this the agronomic flip.
Okay, break down the physics of that for us.
The weather intelligence for this week is the skeleton key to the whole tournament. Today, Wednesday, there's a 59% chance of rain.
Okay.
So tomorrow morning's opening round will likely feature soft, receptive fairways and greens. The soil will hold moisture.
Players will be able to fire dart-like approach shots and attack the pins because the ball will stop exactly where it lands.
Exactly. But the forecast for Sunday's final round is 88 degrees and pure sun.
So the course is going to bake out.
Completely. The moisture will evaporate from the soil. When that happens on bent grass, the friction coefficient changes entirely.
Wow.
The fairways will act like trampolines, repelling tee shots into the rough, and those massive greens, which will be rolling at a terrifying 12.5 on the stimp meter, which is basically like putting on a glass coffee table.
It's insane.
They'll turn into concrete. The course they play on Thursday will behave completely differently than the course they play on Sunday.
And those greens are heavily sloped and broken into quadrants. Like take the 11th hole.
Oh, the 11th is wild.
It is a medium-length uphill par 4, but it is guarded by 20 bunkers just around the green complex alone.
Yeah.
And it has a massive false front. It's like putting on the hood of a classic Volkswagen Beetle. If you don't hit the exact flat spot on the roof, gravity takes over. The course notes actually say that if you hit a wedge with too much backspin onto that front section, the ball will literally roll 50 yards all the way back down the fairway.
It demands total spin control. But the long par 3s are where the tournament might actually be decided.
Oh, for sure.
Look at the 17th hole. It is a 229-yard par 3 with water guarding the entire left side. You can bail out to the safe middle section of the green, but that leaves you with an incredibly defensive, heavily sloped 2-putt.
Right. You need elite long iron height to hold that firm green and give yourself a chance at par.
Exactly.
It's not about how far you can hit the ball. It's about landing it in the exact right quadrant. Because on a Donald Ross course, if you miss above the hole, you're staring at a downhill putt where a bogey is almost guaranteed.
Which creates an immense, suffocating pressure cooker environment. And when margins are that tight, the pressure invariably breeds bizarre moments, frayed nerves, and, behind-the-scenes controversies.
Oh, the unpredictability is already creeping in. Just look at what happened with Mackenzie Hughes last week at the Truist Championship.
That was wild.
He hit a wild tee shot, and the ball literally struck a cameraman squarely in the head, ricocheted off, and landed safely on the green.
Yeah, it is a jarring reminder that no matter how much you analyze the biomechanics, chaos is always a factor.
Chaos is a factor, yes, but the tour is desperately trying to control the variables they can.
Right. There's a lot of heated chatter in the locker room right now about a new Augusta National-based rule targeting slow play.
Yeah, it's a severe pace of play initiative that has the pros incredibly anxious.
Because nobody wants to be handed a penalty stroke in a major championship just for taking too long to read a 50-foot putt on a 12-stem green.
The tension is palpable. And there's also a massive subtext this week regarding the 2027 Ryder Cup.
Oh, absolutely.
It was just officially announced that Jim Furyk will be the U.S. captain. Apparently, Tiger Woods turned the role down.
Interesting.
So it's going to be Furyk setting up a showdown against Europe's captain, Luke Donald. Every single shot hit by an American or European player this week is essentially a live audition for those captains.
It adds an invisible layer of pressure to every approach shot. Guys like Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, they all know they aren't just playing for the Wanamaker Trophy.
Right.
They are playing for a seat on that plane. But what I find most fascinating about this week is the deep divide in how this course is being perceived by the public versus the professionals.
You're talking about the massive divide on Reddit and the casual fan forums.
Precisely. If you look at the casual fan discourse, there's a loud contingent calling Aronimink a knockoff major venue.
Oh, totally. They complain that it lacks obvious, spectacular hazards. Like, there are no massive oceans crashing against the cliffs, no dramatic island greens to easily identify disaster.
But the golf purists and the data analytics experts are vigorously defending it.
Yeah.
They argue that the quadrant-based greens and the visual deception of the topography make it a vastly superior test of actual golfing intellect compared to a course that just relies on raw brute force distance.
It is a thinking person's major.
Which brings us to the moment of truth. Pulling all these threads together, the geopolitics, the biomechanics, the agronomy, what do you, the listener, need to be watching for as the first tee times approach tomorrow morning?
Well, you need to lock your eyes on the Thursday supergroup. We have Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Jordan Spieth all teeing off together.
That group is loaded.
You have Rory battling the agonizing blister and the compromised kinetic chain of his swing, Rahm fighting to validate his game with that synchronized coil after his massive leave ranking drop, and Spieth, who is desperately chasing the elusive career Grand Slam.
It is the defining group of the first two rounds. But the ultimate key to the tournament, the specific factor that will crown the champion, is who best exploits that weather window.
The agronomic flip.
Exactly. The winner of this tournament will be the player who shoots an aggressive low score on Thursday morning when the greens are soft and receptive from the rain, and who then possesses the emotional regulation and short game survival skills to simply hold on and grind out pars on Sunday afternoon.
When the course is baked out, firm, and playing like concrete.
Right. It requires two completely different contradictory styles of golf in a 4-day span.
If you enjoy the content we bring every day about the PGA Championship, please subscribe to our channel. That will help us make better and more engaging content.
So as you prepare for the first tee shots tomorrow, I want to leave you with a lingering question that extends far beyond the 18th hole on Sunday.
Okay, let's hear it.
We know Livy Golf's funding is drying up after 2026. We know there's immense scar tissue and deep resentment from PGA Tour loyalists, preventing an easy, unified return for the defectors.
Right.
So what happens to these elite players, the Rahms, the Koepkas, the DeChambeaus, in 2027?
That's the billion-dollar question.
If the PGA Tour outright refuses to take them back or demands financial penalties they refuse to pay, are we about to witness the birth of an entirely new player-owned rogue tour born out of pure absolute necessity?
A player-owned rogue tour. That is a massive thought. So you've got your notes. You understand the turf friction, the torque, the rivalries, and the billions of dollars hanging in the balance.
The cram session is officially over.
Tomorrow morning, the exam begins. Enjoy the championship, everyone.